Hello, it's me again. I'm going to go over Strand 2 of the performance task for the instructional norms for a one-to-one classroom. I can't go in view mode, so I'm going to go through the slideshow in this format. I thought my time for this ninja would best be used first couple days of school. There's a lot of introduction to the class, a lot of procedures for the kids to learn, and they have to learn it quickly. So I decided to do a presentation, an in-depth presentation that I will go over the first probably 3 or 4 days of leadership. So I'm going to go through the slideshow right now. Slide 2, I always like talking about kids that have stood out in a class of standouts. I know this will be my 9th year coming up, and it's kind of the norm that there are people that step up during the summer. There are people that step up during Roundup, and Mrs. Horta always needs extra help to get the school year started, so I'll make sure those kids are acknowledged. We'll immediately go into our student body contract. There is a link on here. The kids will have their laptops that will be able to open up their contract right there. Talks about rules, expectations, how they are graded, so on and so forth. Slide 4, breakdown of how I grade them in leadership. 10% conduct, attitude, 30% is how they work inside the classroom. Big chunk, 40%, is the outside participation. That's what makes us go, really. And 20% will be special projects, making videos, creating homecoming dances, etc., etc. Outside participation, like I said earlier, is the key to our success. There's a form that they will be able to open with their Google Docs, and that is that form right there that is linked up with the presentation. Slide 6, I will put on the activities calendar for that current year. It's obviously very important to me and the class. And then slide 7 is where we'll get into the nuts and bolts of this lesson. The objective for the kids will be students will select a leadership procedure and explain the steps in order to complete the procedure. I've picked 6 different procedures, how the class operates, how we do announcements, the whole announcement process, how do you spend money in leadership, emailing the staff, how to properly advertise your event, and how to hook up our sound equipment that I still don't know how to hook up myself. Procedures in leadership. I'll explain to them that I'm the principal, I'm the CEO. This is the only time I would want to be a principal, is in a class full of 13 to 18-year-olds. I have 7 ASB officers as well as 3 class presidents. They are what I call the associate principals or managers. ASB will be the 10 kids that I go to that are in charge of each event, and then underneath them will be the class. And the class, I'll explain that those are the teachers, or those are the workers, and who in this class is going to be the great teachers, who's going to be the great workers, who are going to be the ones that stand out and move up in the food chain, so to speak. APs, I've been known to drop down an ASB student if they aren't hacking it. Next procedure in leadership that I want to go over is how we do the announcements. The kids, we will print out emails, and there's a folder in the class that we will keep all the emails in. They can email me. When they email me, basically they're making an announcement for their event, such as Powder Puff, Mr. Atwater to advertise their event. They'll send it to me, I'll approve it, and then we'll put it in the announcements. Public relations officer is the one that types them up, and it always must be signed off or emailed from a staff member. Procedures and leadership, spending money. This is probably the most important one because we don't want students to buy something and not get reimbursed and have issues with parents and whatnot. But here's the order. They need to fill out a blue form. The blue form is the requisition form. You're basically asking Mrs. Gamble, Mr. Svensson, Mr. Nunes for permission to see if they even have money. After the requisition goes through and it's approved, they will get a purchase order, a PO. That means you have permission to go buy. Then they, students, once you have the PO, you go buy, you save your receipt, obviously. And then after they buy something and they save the receipt, they must fill out a payment authorization form to get their money, to get their check from Mrs. Gamble. You don't do that, you're not going to get your money. After the we go over the procedures, I kind of want to check in with the kids and see if they understood what the heck I just said. I've created a Google form, a quick quiz. It'll make it mandatory for all the students to fill out the form because I'll have the evidence. These are the questions I did to check in with our objective about procedures. They're going to have to write in words how the class can be compared to a business or a corporation. I want them to describe the process on how to submit an announcement for your particular event. Little vocab word, define requisition. What does requisition mean? And then what do you have to do prior to going to buy an item if you want to get reimbursed? So they're all paragraph answers so they can work on their writing. Slide 12. When we send an email out to the staff, I've trained the kids to email me and act as if they are me requesting the staff to do something. They send it to me. I'll look at it, obviously fix it up if I have to. And I want to make my life easy and I don't want to work at all. So I just cut, paste, and I send it off. Next procedure is how to advertise in leadership. We have found that you do these, let's see, 6 things. Your event will probably be well publicized, and we just came up with the acronym FCA PES. The F stands for flyers, C commercial, A announcement, P posters, E email the staff, and then S, probably the most important one nowadays, getting it on our social media stuff. Procedures in leadership, this is just something that I would have to do hands-on. We go out and I'll explain how the sound equipment's hooked up. I honestly don't know how the sound equipment works. So I'll find a kid to explain it to someone, and we will drill and kill it until they get it. Homework, I'll have an ASB meeting the very next morning to go over the layout of the week. We always have a contract. I want the kids that signed by their parents as well as the student. And we always have a rally that first Friday, so we would have to have rally practice that Wednesday or Thursday night, whatever works with our schedule. Reflection. At the end of this presentation, there will be another Google form where they revisit the learning objective, a couple paragraph questions, describe how the leadership class works, describe how you submitted an announcement for the daily bulletin, multiple choice on the order of how to spend money so you get properly reimbursed, the process of emailing a staff member. What does the acronym FCA PES stands for? I might pick a kid to set up the sound system, and then finally, what did you learn today? Why is this important to our class? How did this activity meet our learning objective? I want to see if the kids really get the big picture of all this stuff I'm totally throwing their way. They might not get it the first week, but they will eventually. That is the end of my presentation.